What's up, Panda Gang? Welcome back to the series breaking down my simple deity strategy. In the last episode, we talked about forward settling, and as you can see, it went pretty well. To the north, the Congo has no more space to settle south, and this episode is going to be focused on building as many settlers as we can and filling out what's left of our continent with cities to make the most of it. With our latest city here, Ur, we can see that the loyalty is not exactly going our way. We're bailing it in 26 turns if we do nothing. But we can click on this little symbol here and get some more detail. On the left, you can see we're getting -3 loyalty from citizens, but also -3 from happiness. So that adds to a -4 with the other effects like the unit being garrisoned here. So to improve this, the easiest one is going to be increasing that happiness level, and over time, we'll get some more citizens too. So what I can do, look to the left here, we've got some wine. Let me go and buy a builder here. Next turn, they can use this luxury resource, and hopefully we'll get that loyalty drain down from -4 to something more manageable like -1. The Congo here recognizing our great skill in forward settling. Let's carry out that plan with the builder, get that luxury resource, and look at this. Now it's only falling out 1 per turn, which is totally manageable. Right now, we're preparing for this massive expansion in settlers, so we'll promote Magnus with the provision promotion. This means settlers trained in the city are not going to consume the city's population. Quick update in the Congo-Rome War. It looks like Rome's conquered one of Congo's cities, but they look sort of poised here to take it back with all these swordsmen building up here, and I can't even see what might be lying in the fog of war. I like to at least see what the AI will demand for one of their luxuries. So look here, 1 for 30, 17 total. That's an awesome deal. In these border cities here, it's okay to be a little greedy and spend your money to pick up some of these tiles. I'm going to grab these two right here because Plains Hills are pretty strong, especially for production. And not only am I spending money to get those tiles, but I'm spending money to not let the Congo get these, which is awesome. With the new settler just made, I want to plan out some cities. One can definitely go here. Now, I actually really liked this city before the volcano went off. Unfortunately, it's right in its path now. There's also a spot just on the corner here for another city. And that leaves me with the decision, where do I put this settler now? Other than those two mentioned, the only other good spots right now are along this coast here. Now, down here by the barbarians is not actually too bad. We've got some production tiles to work here. We've got the wheat and the stone. Up to the north of it too, it's okay. I mean, you have a lot of plains, which has a little bit of production. But the biggest thing I'm realizing with the land that I've been giving is the lack of production. However, if you come down here, it looks like it's mostly tundra, but there actually is some grassland and some grassland hills on these tiles. So I'm actually going to take the settler and move him down here. Bad Tabira just finished its monument. That's great. We got loyalty, culture, borders expanding. And the goal of this video, like I mentioned, is to build settlers, fill out our continent here. So is it time to build a settler in Bad Tabira? Well, if we pull up just how long that'll take, it'll take 23 turns. And that's just because the city has a super low production of only 5. I want to hit a benchmark of at least 10 before I start pumping out settlers. So what I'm going to do instead is build this builder here just to improve this city and neighboring ones so that they can really grow into themselves before we start asking them to provide for the empire. Like I mentioned before, buying luxuries for cheap is awesome because then you can sell yours for a ton, 10 gold per 30. Settling down this city here, and awesome, look at that. Sort of when these green tiles are by the white ones, it's hard to tell what's what, but this is actually a super strong city. We've got a couple of these hills here, and we can put mines on those, and we've even got these truffles nearby. City management is super important. If I jump in here to hit this little manage citizens, I can actually swap this awesome 2 food, 2 production tile for the new city of Adab. Government's unlocked. We've got a few options here. Unless you're going to go and try and do conquering people in the early game, you don't want to go with oligarchy. I mean, it's great for attacking, but autocracy, this one's okay. It's a really well-rounded one because you get 1 of each card type, but it's more for building wonders and for doing government things. My favorite to go with is Classical Republic, just because you get the housing and amenity aid, and crucially, there's 15 great persons points, which lasts throughout the entire game. For plugging in cards, I'm so glad I can finally put this one back here in here, the +1 production in all cities. That one is huge. As for sciences at this stage, I really want to focus on buffing up my cities. So the city of Ur, for example, this is what inspired me to go and get the harbor technology, because that'll make all of these coast tiles a little bit better. And this city doesn't have the best tiles. It's here sort of in the desert. Then also Bad Tabira over here, it's got some okay tiles, but they're a lot of food based, not much production based. So that's why I went ahead and got that Celestial Navigation. And the next one I'm going to go for is Apprenticeship, so I can quickly get an industrial zone out and make up for those lackings in production. Oh my goodness. The Netherlands just raised the Congo city. That's some unmatched aggression, man. I thought the Netherlands was kind of nice. Anyways, over here, like I talked about, the monument's now finished, so I want to build the harbor tile that I just researched, and I'll place it here next to these fish because it gives me a bonus. At this point, it's kind of hard to say where my latest settler should go. I think the inland here is kind of rough, and like this whole coast here, there's literally nothing but snow. But there's a couple good settles here, one down here with the silk, some up here with some luxury resources and lots of bonus resources, even next to the capital. But I'm actually going to send it over here to the corner, just because then I can start snapping up these tiles near Yerevan. I'm not sure why their borders are not expanding, but at some point you would think they would. And the more tiles I have when that happens, the more I'll end up with in the late game. Since we've just finished a settler and we've completed the first government research, now I'm ready to put down the government plaza. I'm going to do this on this tile to the west, just because it's got a lot of adjacent ones, so I can get that adjacency bonus from it. But I think people often overthink this, so I'll get that put down there, and not only will I build this first plaza, but I'll get the first upgrade towards improved settlers. Quick tip, when you're harvesting resources, especially when you have someone like Magnus in the city, so you double this, it's doubly important. Now, if I go to my governments, you'll see that I've got the 50% production towards settlers. So I'm just gonna quickly swap over to the settler, take my builder, cut down the forest. It won't totally build that settler, but I'm gonna get that boost 50% on that harvest. Then I can go right back to the government plaza, and I've just increased the yield on that harvest by 50%. So Bad Tabira just finished another builder, and I'm looking in the top left here to the apprenticeship science. Now we're gonna wanna build a industrial zone in this city to boost its production, but that's not done for another 20 turns, and the settler is just about the same amount of time. So I'm gonna slot one in there and just sneak in a settler in this build order. As for civics, I'm gonna make a beeline for feudalism here, so I can stick this card in here, where newly trained builders will gain extra 2 build actions. Now the one I have already, which is plus 30% production, is great, but actually the number of times you build a unit, the more expensive that unit becomes. So if I can just get more charges out of the units I'm building, since I'm building a ton of these guys, in the long run, it'll be way, way more economical. And we've got another new city. This one's not going to be Kish. This one's not going to be too strong off the bat. It's got pretty much no good tiles, but same thing, we'll go for the monument so we can start grabbing some of those and hopefully build before too long. So I just improved this luxury resource here, and while that gives me quite an improvement, look, 5 gold per turn just from this working this tile, but then when I go and trade this to the Japanese, look what they'll offer me. 11 per turn. So really when you upgrade this, you're getting a couple more gold from the tile, but then potentially 10 more depending on who you can trade it to. They just keep coming closer. Okay, I'm not comfortable with this. Luckily, we don't have open borders with them. So if I just buy out this tile, their units won't be able to get past these mountains and get all the way to my capital. This guy snuck through, that's fine. But if these guys want to do anything, they're gonna have to go after Bad Tabira, which, you know, might work out pretty well for them. In the meantime, I'll send over some troops to try and reinforce there. But this does actually look pretty aggressive from the Congo side. New settler. At this point, the only places left are this corner over here and then the west coast. And it really doesn't matter at this point where exactly I'm settling each and every one of these, because I'm going to be putting them out so quickly that 5 turns, 10 turns, there'll be another settler down. We've just gotten an apprenticeship, which is going to be huge for expanding our production ability on the mainland here. Next up, I'm going to go for shipbuilding, which is going to allow my units to embark. I'm going to build a couple galleys to get this Eureka as well. And we can scope out the map, see if there's 1 or 2 islands that are left vacant, and maybe we can set a city down there. And just those incremental cities can sometimes be the difference between winning and losing. New city of Shrupak, and look at this, we've got that builder right from a rook here, and just like that we can harvest the cotton. And what's the first thing we're building? A monument. So So remember, Bad Dabira, it's got a ton of food, lacks production. It's got about double the food to production right now. So we want to put the industrial zone down, but we need to find the best spot. This looks like the best. We've got the strategic resource and the government plaza nearby. I've just got to come up with the money to actually buy the tile. And there we are. Place it down. Nice, we got our ships built so we can move on to building our harbors in these coastal cities here. I like that spot. And then we go over to Ur. They've got their galley as well. And we can improve this harbor further, get that lighthouse, and that'll give us some housing bonus as well as increase the yields on these sea tiles. If you remember earlier, I had a dab claim this tile the builder's standing on right now because that would help their early production. But I'm going to swap it back now to the main city of Uruk so that the woods can be harvested, use that bonus from Magnus, use the bonus from the Governor Plaza, and the bonus from the cards in the government slots, and this should do a lot of work at building up this settler here. New city, got our builder, sweet, and start off with monument. The city of Uruk has finished its lighthouse in the shipyard, and next I want to get out a bit more production by building an industrial hub. So we're going to put it right here because we've got a mine across the border. We can build a mine here, here, and here, and that will eventually give it a +2 modifier. Shorupak has finished its monument, but look, 21 food, oh my gosh, that's insane, but only 5 production. We've got to build that industrial zone ASAP. Eridu's founded. Let's get a monument in here, and look, we'll be able to get 2 silks out of this. We can sell these for 10 gold a piece. That settle just got us 20 gold per turn, which is pretty insane. We got the zone down, but we got to actually fill out the buildings too in here, because still, 9 production, 24 food, we got to even this out. Filling out our last few cities here. Sapar, we're going to build a monument here as well. And it already starts with that builder, man. Like, that's so nice. You can set it here, get the mine down, and the city's already got awesome 5 and 5 right off the bat. More settlers, more settlers. Now we're running out of space on our continent here. Let me show you the view. We got 1, 2, 3 more spots left. But over to the east a little bit, I found an island here that seems to be controlled only by barbarians. If I can clear them out, I might be able to find 1 or 2 more settled spots there too. Second building for coastal cities, you gotta go with the harbor just to get that housing bonus. Bad Dabira has just finished off its industrial zone district and the workshop inside, so it's finally able to build us a campus. It's great to get one of these going down finally. We've landed on this island and it seems to be awesome. We've got some iron here, which we don't have at the rest of the empire. Now we're sort of getting out of that age, but you still rather have it than not. And it seems like we might be able to even get 2 cities down here, so great find by our boats. Since we found this great island, I've actually diverted our settler from the barren coast of our continent over here. I changed my mind to settle the city here on this tile because the harbor is a good spot, whereas if I put the harbor here, I'd kill off the reef. And if I can settle this entire little island, which I don't see why I can't, I'll be able to get another city here, and I'll fit one more in near the bottom too, so it'll be a little bit denser too, which is nice to get more industrial zones, more campuses, and more science. To recap today's video, we went from 3 or 4 cities to a whole ton. We spent the entire time pumping out as many settlers as we can, and those cities that were built, there's a very simple order. You go monument, get that city up with some districts, either harbors if they're a coastal, and industrial zone to get the production up, and finally now we're getting on to building some campuses, some science, as you see in Bad Dabira here, finally getting some science going. And there's even a great example of get some galleys out there and go scout, because if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have found this nice bit of land here, which is going to secure me, I think, 3 more cities. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you learned something about how to settle out as fast as you can. Make sure you come back for the next video in this series on pumping out science and actually securing that science victory in the end.